My name is David Kimmerly. I'm a full-time fitness model, cover of magazines, and it's my job. I have sponsors. I won the Mr. Utah, Mr. California, and I take a lot of pride in bodybuilding and body modification. And everything that I run around is structured. I have heart rate monitors, all this sorts of senses of accountability set up to help me build my body. Recently, last November, after competing at a competition, I was doing some chin-ups and I hurt my bicep. I don't know how else to word it. I was coming down and it was not a bicep move. It wasn't anything like that. And I did a bunch of research. And of course, me thinking I know my body so well, and I coach other people on their bodies. I was sure that I had tennis elbow. It even said on there, well, even guys that don't play tennis get tennis elbow. So I figured, you know what, I'm gonna take a month off. Well, that was November, and every Christmas I come up for a holiday to see my mother. And I remember complaining 45 days into it, as my plan was to take a month off. We're gonna chill out. I haven't taken any days off in a year or two. I'm gonna let the thing relax and see if it's just me being mean to it. 45 days later, I wake up one morning in Salt Lake and it actually now started to hurt without me doing anything to it. Before it was just, I'd be trying to run down the street, and even though I couldn't do biceps, I really couldn't do anything without my bicep working. So I'd just go running. Well, you hold your arms like this when you run. I couldn't even hold the weight of my fist. Like, it was excruciating. I don't know how else to word it, and I preach pain. If you knew my brand, it's all about pain and suffering and tearing apart muscle tissue, and it scars over and gets bigger. So I was manning up and I was trying to run. And now here I got goofy 200-pound Dave running down the street with one arm, dangling to the side because I couldn't hold it up. So then I stopped running. And I wake up a little while later and in Salt Lake, and it woke me up. It hurt so bad. And it wasn't doing that before. So I talked to a mutual friend. I had seen Dr. Gordon before with some back issues, and he'd straightened me out, and it felt great. But I felt like those were structural bone issues. I'm gonna go see a chiropractor about a muscle. Well, this is where the story gets kind of good. I said, of course, I'll go in and see him. He's been good to me so far. I came in and I sat down and I waited, and he said, Kimmerly, I got this new protocol for you. It's, I've been working on it. It's doing wonders, and I'd like to try it out. I said, buddy, anything. I can't carry a gallon of milk. My left hand's getting really strong here. So he sits me down, and of course we do the warm up, some of the protocol that I'm used to, some zapping, some of this and that's kind of activate the muscle. He warms me up, does his thing. Then he puts me on my back, and he says, all right, this is gonna seem kind of funny. And here I am, and my elbow hurts, right? I'm sitting there going, this sucks. And he starts tapping on the bottom of my foot, and he taps on the top of my head. And he measures down with his finger, and he's like pressing on stuff, but it wasn't anywhere near my bicep, or at the time it just felt like my elbow, you know what I mean? But I kind of related it to my bicep. So just excruciating pain. I'm redundant right now, but we got to get that point across. This stuff hurt. So anyway, he's pressing all over me, and he's pressing on my legs, pressing on the bottom of my foot, and if I hadn't have been there, I swear to you, I would not repeat this story. Okay, it was too good. Long story, we'll cut out the 45 minutes of treatment, but he literally pressed on almost every area but my elbow. And of course he did a strength test before. He puts his arm up and just takes me straight down, and nothing I could do about it. 25 minutes later, 30 minutes later, he does another strength test. And I thought I'd been cheated, or I thought it was one of those bands that they try to pull you over or something. I was like, and he did it again. And I take a lot of pride once again in how aware I am of how my body works. And as an athlete, I need to be very, very, they call it the mind-muscle connection. And I'm in tune with it. And he made my arm work in 45 minutes. I was able to go to the gym that night. He said, chill on it. Don't go, grabbing those 45s, throw them on the Olympic bar and curl them, but you should be okay. And what he explained to me is that I'd turned my muscle off. Okay, buddy, I turned my muscle off? What do you mean? I've heard of everything in every muscle and fitness magazine, every book that I've ever read. Nobody one time said you can turn your muscle off. So as he explained it to me, he said, you've gone through some trauma, you really hurt it, and it stopped activating. And I know enough about muscles that as soon as he said brachialis, well, that's the hammer curl position muscle. And I know that because I tell people, if you want a muscle here, you got to do this. Well, that's what I couldn't do. I was slightly strong here, but I had nothing here. So I went to the gym that day, and now we're into March, and I've competed once already, won my competition. We're back into season, obviously a month and a half off, nobody's paying me to take a picture. But over the last 2 months, I was able to thin my skin and do it at the gym with the resistance training. One of my trademarks is I've been very fortunate to where I have a split in my bicep. And so when I flex it, and I'm not obnoxious, but there's a split right here that you have to have if you want to make money. And I couldn't get it. So when you got a couple little deals that come across here, and I couldn't do any of this. So for me, it was I couldn't even pay my bills. They're not taking a picture, I can't pay my bills. So Dr. Gordon gave me the opportunity to come in today and share my testimony, you know, and to be honest with you, I haven't seen him since. I was home for Christmas. I saw him the one day, I bailed out of town 2 days later, and I've been able to work as a professional athlete for the last 3 months, given that he turned my bicep back on. So as funny as it might sound, I have to give a solid thanks to Dr. Gordon and any of you out there that might think that you have an off muscle or to me it's a question mark. Something weird is wrong with you? Come on in. He definitely specializes in weird, so he killed it for me. Thank you, Dr. Gordon.